Hey guys, it's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth. Today is Tuesday, October 27th, and in today's video we're going to discuss HEXO appointing a new board of director, Emilio Imbriglio. We'll also discuss Auxly up 25% today, and we also have Microsoft and AMD earnings after the bell. So stick around and we'll jump right into it. Make sure to smash like, subscribe to the channel, and tick the bell. You'll be notified on any future updates. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back for another daily market recap. So we'll start with the HEXO news that came out today. So again, they appointed a new board of directors, Emilio Imbriglio, and he is the current president and CEO of Thornton. He's a chartered professional accountant. So we'll bring up that article in just a moment, and we'll also look at the HEXO chart here a little bit later on in the video as well. So I also have a few other news and events. So I'll bring up the schedule here for you folks to follow along. So just taking a look at the article that came out. So this was directly off of HEXO's website. So you can check the press releases on their website for the whole article. But essentially, he's been with Grant Thornton since 2013 in that position and representing over 140 countries. So you can see his, I'm not going to read this whole entire thing, but you can check this out on your own. But nice to see that that HEXO is appointing some strong leadership in their board of directors after one member had recently departed. So they filled that position. You can check that out on your own. We did have a stimulus update. So it's been confirmed that the representatives are now leaving Capitol Hill and they're going to basically reconvene after the election. So stimulus before the election has been completely ruled out. But as we know, they said that time and time again. So don't be surprised if you wake up tomorrow and hear that talks are back on and we basically just throw everything that we hear out the window and back into the manipulation game that they've been playing. We'll also look at AMD and Microsoft earnings. We also saw that the Pfizer cure, I guess, I won't say anything else other than that, is unlikely to come before the US election. So that was notable. We also saw that Biden holds a big lead over Trump, but it could tighten according to CNBC All-America survey. We also saw that Synovus plans to cut up to 25% of jobs after the Husky deal. So I did a video on that yesterday. You can check out my video. Just go to Pow Group and search Synovus and Husky trade review. Essentially, they're merging for $3.8 billion. And this is something similar we saw to Suncor cutting up to about 15% of their jobs as well. You can check out my video on that I did on that as well. And like I said, we have Microsoft and AMD earnings, which we'll touch on in just a moment. But let's take a look at some overall indices before we jump into some individual tickers and the AMD and Microsoft earnings. So SPY on the weekly, you can see that we closed below the 10-week moving average today. The MACD is crossing bearish or has already crossed bearish, and the stochastic is crossing now as well. Taking a look at SPY on the daily chart. So we are below the 50-day moving average. We closed red, and we've been closing red more often than not for the last couple of weeks. And I wouldn't be surprised if we tested the 100-day moving average. It's really going to depend on the earnings that come out this week. We have huge earnings from Microsoft, AMD. We also have Apple, Facebook, Amazon, you name it, all coming the rest of the week, and many other big names. Taking a look at QQQ, we are above the 10-week moving average, so a lot of bets on some bullish earnings going into this week. Stochastic is still looking to cross bearish, but still bullish, and the MACD hasn't crossed bullish yet since the bear cross back here in September. Taking a look at the daily chart for QQQ, the tech sector, we are above the 50-day moving average, so that's notable. And the daily MACD crossed bearish. So we'll see how these earnings reactions come after the bell here, but you can see that SPY is down a little bit after hours. We were red on the day. You can see that we broke to a new low and tried to get a 5-minute trend change into the end of the day, but now breaking to another low in after hours. So certainly seeing some weakness in the overall market today. let's just take a look at the daily chart. So I did in a previous video confirm that we are in a daily downtrend. So you can see here we had a lower high and a lower low. We also had another lower high and lower low, lower high, lower low. So we're seeing a prolonged downtrend here on the daily. So we're just looking for a weekly higher low. We know that we are still in a weekly uptrend. So we're just looking for a weekly higher low. And we are finding support here off the EMA 12 on the weekly chart. And we'll know that that weekly higher low has been set once we have a daily trend change. So bulls aren't really setting themselves up very well right at the moment for a daily trend change. You can see that we closed the day bearish today. If we did bounce tomorrow, and I'd like to see us get up to around the 345 on some bullish tech earnings, and then that would give us lots of room to form a higher low and a higher high to change the daily trend, but that'll be step one. We also didn't change the hourly trend at any point today, and that was our major clue. So we'll start with the shorter term timeframes. We'll look to change the trend there, and then we'll zoom out to the longer term timeframes. But you can see we were essentially just going sideways for most of the day. EMA 12 on the hourly was a great visual guide as a resistance to be watching, and closed at the low of the day. So that's bearish and very notable. And let's just take a look at, I was noticing some, to begin the day here, I was noticing when we broke to this new low, we were forming a 5-minute bullish RSI divergence compared to the price. Price was trending lower highs and lower lows, but the RSI was trending up. So that had me starting to look the other way. We did try to change the 5-minute trend here to begin the day, and we didn't see any follow through. So I knew to zoom out to the 15-minute chart and look for a potential bear flag. And that's exactly what we got, was a 15-minute bear flag, and then just essentially sideways into the rest of the day. But still in a 5-minute downtrend here to end the trading day, and we'll see how these earnings react overnight. Taking a look at QQQ, so QQQ was stronger. We had closed green today. Again, still struggling with that EMA 12 on the daily, and we are just looking for a weekly higher low bouncing off EMA 12. So nice visual guide there as well, but you can see that we haven't really started the daily bounce, and once we can confirm a daily uptrend, that will give us confidence that the weekly higher low has been set. But as of right now, bulls again didn't really give themselves much space to work with to change that daily trend. Taking a look at the hourly chart, if we factor in extended trading hours, you can see here that we did change the hourly trend on QQQ. So that is step number one. So it looks like our daily higher low has been set. Bulls will look to potentially form a higher low compared to the low of 276.76, and we'll look to follow up by a higher high. And into the end of the day, you can see there was some profit taking after rocket ship move from the low of the day up to a new high of the day. So really interested to see how the earnings come out overnight. And we did see that DXY was in a 5-minute uptrend into the end of the day, riding EMA 12 support on the 5-minute and looking to bounce off it here now as well. And we still are potentially in a daily bear flag scenario for the dollar, the US dollar, and we have EMA 12 on the daily acting as resistance here as well. So I'd like to see us get above EMA 12 to negate that bear flag. Right now, I can still consider that a possibility. Gold still going range bound, not really concerned about gold at the moment unless we break out of this descending triangle on the weekly. Again, still going sideways and respecting this pattern. So this, in my opinion, is going to be the most important for me. Bitcoin, just taking a quick look at Bitcoin, we did come close to the previous monthly high, which was at 13,868 on Coinbase. And today we hit a high of 13,767. And we did start to pull back on that test. And you can see here, we basically had a double top and the market started to roll over as well. So probably wouldn't consider that a double top at this point yet, likely due to the market correlation as well. But you can see we are in a 5-minute uptrend here to end the trading day. And we still got a few hours left on the daily candle here, but you can see that we have a new daily higher low set at 12,785. And like I said, we still got a few hours left of the trading day in Bitcoin. And you can see here that we had a bull flag here on the hourly straight into a new higher high. And most important support on the hourly right now for me is 13,334. Then we'll look to 13,528. And we also have EMA 12 right there as well. We do have some decreasing volume here, bull volume, but that's what we'll like to see, is not increasing sell volume. That's obviously a point in favor of the bulls. So just some healthy consolidation at the moment, and we are overbought on most time frames. So the weekly, we're overbought on the daily, all the shorter term time frames. We are getting close to overbought as well on the monthly, and we have this strong support line to be watching as well. That's been holding now for quite some time, for several months. But you can see here, it'll be notable when that support line has been lost. And Bitcoin bulls are in full control at the moment, but I'd certainly be careful at any long entries at this point. We are close to monthly resistance. We are close to monthly overbought, and we're overbought on most time frames. So I'd be cautious of that. Taking a look at oil, oil saw a bounce today. Wasn't really much to report there. Again, just going sideways, pretty boring in terms of oil. You can see we bounced off that resistance line, acting as support. It's acted as support now a few times, but essentially did reject at EMA 12 on oil. Taking a look at XBI, XBI closed the day green. Energy sector closed the day red at the low of the day. XLY.V, same thing. Real estate trust, same thing. Healthcare sector closed at the low of the day with an upper wick, rejected at EMA 12. So that'll be notable if we can get over that tomorrow. We also had the home builders ETF with some notable weakness here the past week or so. And the real estate sector has been really the shining star. And we're starting to see some significant consolidation there on the daily. If we zoom out to a weekly, just looking for a weekly higher low, which could possibly be set right now because we have EMA 12 at 53.25, close the day at 53.39. So we'll see if we can bounce tomorrow going into that. Just looking at TAN, same thing, weekly consolidation, looking for a weekly higher low. We'll know that that's been established once the daily trend has been changed in favor of the bulls. But certainly some overdue, well-deserved consolidation and no red flags at this point. That's pretty much all I had in terms of global indices. So taking a look at CVE, I did highlight a trade opportunity yesterday. So I'll just bring that up here real quick. So we did have a support test we had support at 318 on the daily. So we had a huge gap down, and we had support at 343 and 318. And I was potentially looking at an entry off the 318 support. And when we got to 316, again, you can check out my video for a more detailed explanation. But when we got to 316 yesterday, you can see we had 316, and again, we had 316 double bottom. That's what gave me confidence to enter. And off that double bottom and support play, it's up almost 20% in the last couple of days. So congrats to the bulls who took advantage of that double bottom and play off of support. I would potentially look to trim. I'm all out of this position right now. So just a complete heads up there and disclaimer that I'm no longer holding this position. And that news coming out today about potentially laying off 25% of the jobs has obviously a bearish impact as well. So, but all in all, bulls still in control at the moment, and we closed up 6.76%. Especially notable when SPY closed red and most individual names closed red as well. So we'll take a look at HEXO. So the HEXO bulls were feeding off of that new news about the new director. We saw a pullback. We got above EMA 12, but rejected essentially and formed an upper wick. You can see that we were forming a daily EQ. So I'll just draw that out for you guys. We had this pattern to be, this EQ to be watching. And once we lost this low here, so once we lost the low of 75 cents, that was the cue to get out. We also had EMA 12 there, so that confirmed a bear break of the daily EQ. And we did even break through the next support, which was down at 71 cents. So we did hit a low of 70 cents. So you could have entered bearish on that break of EMA 12 and the 75 cent mark. And you could have potentially entered on this test of 71 support with a stop just below. But keep in mind, we don't have any support all the way down to about 63 cents. So could drop another 10% easily. And we're still not sure when the earnings are due for HEXO, but they just appointed a new board of director to the board of the directors. So Emilio Imbriglio, which he's a professional accountant. So maybe that has something to do with their earnings as well. But Earnings Whisper says it's November 2nd on Monday. And TradingView's been saying the 23rd, it said the 26th yesterday. Now it says the 27th. So will it say the 28th tomorrow? More than likely, but we'll wait for a more official confirmation, perhaps from HEXO directly, before we get too worked up over those earnings. So taking a look at Auxly as well, Auxly was up about 25% today. So I did a video. You can check out my Auxly video and trade review, but essentially I entered at 13 cents looking for a daily trend change. We got it and ran over 100%. So congrats to the bulls. And we basically topped out at the 200-day moving average, which was around the 35 cent mark. So if you've sold like I did, and when I gave you guys that heads up that you may want to potentially be looking to sell, we also had a higher low every candle for about 9 candles. So as soon as we lost this low, that was the signal to get out. That's when I got out closer to the 200-day. And then it was just pure luck that we broke the low of the previous candle, and then we saw some huge bear follow through. We saw a huge bearish candle here, likely implying that we could see some more downside. And I entered off of, so I'll just bring it up here on the daily chart actually, just to give you guys an idea. So we did get close to the 50-day moving average. So I sold at the 200-day, and then I re-entered at 20 cents. So once I saw 19 was holding, I entered at 20 cents and basically saved myself a drop, saved myself from almost a 50% drop. And now I'm up about 25% on that other position. So maybe even a little bit more than that. I think, no, about 25%. So again, I was looking to hold it for the long term, but daily RSI was getting crushed. It was in the 86 levels. So we knew to be expecting some consolidation, and things that run over 100% or 200%, we can expect easily 10, 20, 30, 50% of a pullback. And that's exactly what we got. So I reloaded, still holding that position, and I'll look to hold that for the long term, but essentially just riding the profits and in a free trade at the moment. So congrats to the bulls on Auxly today and those who took advantage of that entry. We'll take a look at the Google and AMD charts. So we'll see if they have earnings out yet. Google, not really much. Sorry, not Google. It was Microsoft. So Microsoft saw a bear break, saw some huge sell volume into the end of the day, and then we saw a massive bounce and another pullback. So seems to be some indecision right now on Microsoft. Just got an update. So Microsoft beats quarterly revenue estimates and shares rise. So on Tuesday, software company continued to benefit from a global shift to work from home. Microsoft shares rose 1% to $215.40 in extended trading. So Microsoft said revenue intelligent cloud segment rose 20% to $13 billion in the first quarter, 48% growth in Azure. Analysts expected revenue of $12.7 billion. So rose from Xbox gaming consoles rose 6% to $11 billion. The company's revenue rose 12% to $37 billion in the quarter ended September 30th, beating analyst estimates of 35. So that is a beat in terms of Microsoft. And let's take a look at AMD. Oops. So looking at AMD, looks like AMD is seeing a bullish move after hours, so I anticipate that they were likely outperforming the estimates as well. I don't see any updates on that yet, but see here that earnings 1.82 per share adjusted versus 1.54 per share expected by analysts. So that was a huge beat in terms of EPS, and revenue came as a beat as well. So definitely helping the tech sector. Taking a look at QQQ in the after hours trading, fairly muted. So what's it going to take really for these bulls to show back up and start to shift momentum, because clearly we are in a daily downtrend and bears have control of these charts at the moment. So what's it going to take for the momentum to shift? Maybe Apple earnings, maybe Amazon earnings, we'll see. But like I said, into the rest of the week, we have quite a few big cap names. So tomorrow before the bell, we have UPS, Boeing, GE, Sony. We've got after hours, we got Fastly, Pinterest, Etsy, Gilead, Visa, Teladoc, eBay. And then we have Shopify, Nokia, Moderna, Spotify. On Thursday after the close, Apple, Amazon, Facebook. So still a lot of earnings to be unfolded the rest of the week. So we'll see if the bulls can catch a bid and shift this momentum in QQQ and SPY, because right now the bears have full control of the daily charts and we are in daily downtrends. So if this Microsoft beat doesn't translate into some bullish momentum tomorrow, I'm going to be very skeptical and just remain cautious, because they obviously beat on EPS and revenue, and we're not really seeing that much of a reaction in the tech sector. But again, this is after hours trading, so we'll see how things behave tomorrow during regular trading hours. But that's pretty much all I had for you guys today. Make sure to smash the like and consider subscribing to the channel.